Hi folks, hope you're well. Relatively brief video. I just want to make some points in this video. I remember once that I saw a Clint Eastwood film. Yes, well, amazing. And one statement Clint Eastwood made in the whole film really, he was a great one-liner, wasn't he? Clint Eastwood. And one of the things he said when he was pointing a gun at somebody was, dying ain't no way to make a living, boy. I thought that was great. I think it was in Dirty Harry actually, he said that. Dying ain't no way to make a living. Well, it's very true. How can you make a living if you're dying? Plenty of people have to try, at least while they're dying. Of course they do. But anyways, some of these things really, really do stick in your mind. These statements we hear in our lives, God, I'll never forget that. Or, statements or events that are quite traumatic or outstanding. They create in our brains things called engrams, which are especially engraved, if you like, in our brain. You're unlikely ever to forget them. Events can be like that as well, of course. Near-death experiences create engrams. You'll never forget that one. I can attest to that. Twice. These are things we experience that we'll never forget. There's so much in life that we forget. Some of us, thank goodness, we do forget. Because we've almost got built-in obsolescence. Sometimes people bury quite deliberately or compartmentalize bad experiences in different altars in our brain, which are like little drawers, filing cabinets in our brain, and we can compartmentalize. And hypnotists can access these drawers when they've been locked away for years. Look into my eyes. And suddenly the hypnotist will obviously get you into a state where maybe as a child you filed things away and you are wholly unaware of them, and your hypnotist recording your event and recording your experience will play these things back to you, and you think, well, I can't remember ever experiencing that. That wasn't me on the tape, and people are in denial about such things, but it happens. And it can be quite a traumatic event when you're listening to yourself talking to a hypnotherapist. And you think, well, you hear the question, then you hear yourself answer it, but you can't remember answering it. Because certain ways of asking and accessing the altars in our mind are a specialty skill of the hypnotherapists, of being able to draw out of you information you've squirreled away because it's far too traumatic normally to keep in your everyday filing cabinet. The reason I mention these things is that our mind is absolutely quite phenomenal. I do believe it is a Wi-Fi. I think it has Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi before anybody out there invented it, folks. We were born with Wi-Fi. Every cell in our body has the ability, quite frankly, to communicate with one another. How do you think they do it? It's not all about chemical messaging from one group of cells to another, because some cells, strangely enough, have little, like, sticky out bits, like aerials. What are they for then? Because, in the words of everybody, God made no trash. Our body knows best, and believe me, there is more that we don't know about our bodies and the microscopic action of events than what we do know. One thing I do know, and I've said it before in previous videos, is that this world is Satanistic. There's no two ways about it. It is an evil world. And it's not suitable, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. It ain't no place to bring a kid up. How can you possibly bring a boy up to be a man in this world? It's hard, isn't it? If ever you've experienced doing it, it's hard. And what makes it hard is the system, because it is so corrupt. The lunatics are running the asylum. Well, we live in the asylum, but this world isn't geared towards bringing up ethical, conscientious, loving children. It's really hard to bring a son up to be a man in this world of inequality, isn't it? We have to almost fight the system. And in the formative years, 0 to 7, this is the most critical time in a child's upbringing. This is why the Jesuits would like a child 0 to 7, and you will, once they've done their brainwashing 0 to 7, they will give you a boy back who's going to be eventually a man of the church for life. He will be a believer for life, because they're programming. Yes, and the 0 to 7-year-old, boy or girl, quite frankly, is taking it all in. For the first couple of years, I bet you can't remember what you were doing, because you really weren't cognizant of what was going on. You were in receiving mode, oh for sure. But your personality started to develop around about 3 or 4. And then you were a sponge. But how is it so difficult? You see, I think this world is unfit to bring children up. And that sounds a real sweeping statement. It is unfit. But it's unfit, yet we still have to do it. Against all the odds, we hope and pray that by all the good stuff we shove in, it's enough to displace the bad stuff that is shoved in as well. And we hope that we can get our children to differentiate between the good stuff and the bad stuff. But all the time, the children are being polluted and corrupted and beguiled into certain behaviour because of the external influences of our society, which is positively evil. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Why would it have to be a dog-eat-dog world? You know, you want to bring a child up, let's say, well, don't hit other children. Because the child will witness other children hitting other children. The kid thinks it's okay to hit other children because they're doing it. It's a natural assumption to make. But the sad thing is, why are those other children hitting other children? Is because some parents are derelict in their duty, that's why. You see, because my children don't go around hitting other people's children, because the moment I even saw or attempted them doing it, I would correct the error. It is true that our children become a construct of what we make them. Like mother, like daughter, like father, like son. Oh, so true. That's if the son, the boy, has a father that hangs around or a mother that hangs around. But what if the mother's a slag? What if the father's a bum? Well, obviously the kids are going to be similar, because the first point of reference most children have, if they're lucky enough to have both parents around, is what are my mum and dad, you see? Because children just copy initially. This is the way we learn. First we watch, then we copy. And if we copy and get away with it, we'll think it's okay to do it again and again, and it gets entrenched and becomes stuck in our children's heads that it's okay to smack other kids and get what you want from them. It's okay for boys to hit girls. It's okay for girls to be quite nasty to boys on occasion. It's okay. It's the way the game is played, you see. But why should we have to put up with this? Wouldn't it be better to have a world where you don't have to make the corrections, because Well, to be honest, the people that you want to mix with from the beginning aren't in the habit of smashing each other in the face or fighting. They're truly not. They're not in the habit of ripping each other off. They're not in the habit of fighting, are they? Or being cruel to animals particularly. But they're just mirrors. Children are simply mirrors and absorbers, aren't they, of the information that surrounds them. And this is why we become exactly, eventually, what we become is subject to the environment, the people we've mixed with, the information we believe, the actions we accept and reject and put upon other people. But it is the environment that will dictate what the outcome of a child and it becomes an adult, what type of adult they will become. So the problem is, if we have a dysfunctional society of moronic kids who are going down, they might have all the toys, they might have all the answers, they might be super bright, you never know. But they have the morals of a sewer rat. That's being disrespectful to a sewer rat. They don't have any morals. It's dog eat dog, you know. I rapidly find that the children nowadays, or young adults, are terribly self-centered. They're all this. They don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to talk to one another. You can sit on a bus and it's almost silent. Nobody's talking to one another. You can go on the underground in London. They're all holding on for dear life or trying to look around. There's no social intercourse. This is the way we're going. Everybody's got earbuds on and you don't want to talk when other people have got earbuds on because it's rude. But I think they're being rude with the earbuds. But hey-ho, that's what we've come down to, isn't it? We're all single tax-paying units. Getting up in the morning, turn the radio on while you're having a breakfast. You listen to the crap that's on it, the moronic songs, the moronic, churlish presenters that are specially chosen to say the party line the government are trying to kick out. It's unfit. This world is becoming rapidly unfit for human habitation. It's a struggle. We have to earn a living. Why should we have to earn a living? Tell me. We're the only idiots who work for money. We're the only idiots that go to work. Well, we're supposed to be the intelligent ones on this planet. We're the only ones who go to work. You see Gorilla get up in the morning, putting his suit on, rushing his breakfast, getting stressed out. No. He gets up, scratches his nuts, has a look around, goes and finds a banana, lies in the sun. Hey, happy days. Builds his little house. See? But no, we don't. We get sucked. We're supposed to be the intelligent ones. We've got to pay. We've got to earn a living. And the big thing is the money. It's the money. It's the money. Because without money, we're screwed. So this is such an evil invention, money. It is truly, truly the root of all evil. And people say it's not money, it's not the money's fault, it's an inanimate object. True. It's the accumulation of money that causes the evil. People get addicted to. See, some people have got so much money, they can't live long enough to spend it all. So what do they do with this stuff? They stack it up. It stinks. It's like manure, money is. It's like manure. If you pile it up, it stinks. If you spread it around, things grow. But no, these shysters, they pile it high because you're not having any. So much for altruism and charity. What a joke. No. This world is unfit. It's an unfit place in which to bring up a child. Because to bring up a child in this world is really, seriously hard work. To make sure that that child is ethical, educated, altruistic, help their fellow human being, has good moral standards, you name it. They don't teach you this at school. And by the time you're an adult, you're either sinking or swimming. And then suddenly you get some children in a relationship you might be starting or having. And there is no instruction book with children. And unfortunately, children become just like mummy and daddy. What about if mummy and daddy are a pair of morons? Well, you're going to get like begets like, doesn't it? So there's no chance of a future improvement. It's always going to be the same. Because birds of a feather flock together. So there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. But it shouldn't be like this. I'm not talking communism here. That's its own sickness in itself. But we look at what's the worry is about China, this growing thing, this huge... But the Chinese don't think like us. But where has thinking like us got us? I'm not advocating communism here. I'm not talking communism. I'm talking Chinese people. I'm talking about a collective. Well, our collective, what have we produced? Wars, wars and wars. A bankrupt nation, people who are struggling, people who are pissed off, the sickness rates gone, unemployment, factories closing. It's a failure, isn't it, what we've been doing? But war has always remained constant because it's such a good earner. Because that's what it's all about. Keeping us in a constant state of worry and fear. Worry and fear. What am I going to do when I have to stop work? My pension's screwed. Where am I going to live? I can't pay my mortgage. I can't pay my rent. I don't know. I suppose I'll just have to drop dead. Well, that's precisely the plan. And the quicker you do it after your retirement, the better. Because they don't want to pay you anymore. You see, once you stop being a tax-paying unit, you're what they call a useless eater. Henry Kissinger quote. But as I said at the beginning, this world ain't no place to bring a child up. Yet we still have them, and we have to do our best with the ones we have. And it is still a beautiful world. I'll tell you who have the better lives on this world. Animals. Animals. That's if they're not cattle, of course, reared for slaughter. Well, we're reared for slaughter in so many ways, aren't we? We're reared for employment. That's the same. Ultimately, it leads to our early demise most of the time. It exhausts us. We end up with nothing at the end of it. And we're food for the worms. It's as simple as that. We are useless eaters once we retire because we're collective for the Borg, aren't we? This Borg. The centralised dictatorship called the government and bankers. That's all. And it's getting worse. I'm not saying there aren't some wonderful, wonderful people in this world, and there are. But sadly, the good ones are glad to go. And the bad ones are welcome to it, as far as I'm concerned. Do I want to come back here? Absolutely not. I've learnt all I need to know, because I don't think there's anything I need to know now. I know that it's an evil world run by evil people, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. It's been like that since the invention and the introduction of money, and that is certainly not a human construct. It was certainly not. It was devised, put here on this planet deliberately by those who thought of a way of controlling the animals on the farm. It's funny, isn't it? We're the only idiots in town that use money. It's our whole reason for living, because without it, you're going to die. And dying ain't no way to make a living, as Dirty Harry said. So, we are destined to fail, because as less and less and less people earn money, more and more people will die. It's an inverse ratio, isn't it? And this is how they're going to get rid of the world's population down to 500 million. It'll happen with automation, lack of employment, inoculations, poor health, chemtrails, fluoride in the water, yada yada yada. And we can't see it coming. Now you know why I think this is an unfit world in which to have children. If I had my time again and know what I know now, I certainly wouldn't have children, much as I love my 2 children. No, I wouldn't impose it on anybody. Not now. I mean, we think we have it rough at the moment. Try being in the Victorian times. That was rough, because they had debtors' prisons. Well, who caused the debtors' prisons? The bankers. You see, they're just nasty, nasty bastards. They soon got rid of debtors' prisons, though, didn't they? Of course they did. But I don't see bankers going into debtors' prisons when the bank collapses, do you? No, because the idiots bail them out. One rule for the rich, one rule for the rest of us. That's hypocrisy, and I've tried to stop my children being hypocrites. I have to teach them what hypocrisy is. But then I have everything I say is contradicted, because we have a government that says do as they say, not do as they do. Well, and I have a son to raise to be a man, and I have a government that excels at demonstrating how not to be ethical and honest and decent. How can you look up to such a government? It's like taking 4 steps forward and 5 steps back sometimes. Dad, you said this. Yes, that's the way to do it. Yeah, but the government doing this. Why can the government get away with doing that when you're saying it's better to do that? Well, I spend my life explaining things. We shouldn't have to. The government should be leading from the front to set an example. This is what we're told as parents. Set your children a good example. All the politicians and banksters and the 1%ers don't lead by example. There is actually 60 odd wars going on in this world as I speak to you and you listen. 60 wars of other people's children being slaughtered. 60. Do you know about them? Can you tell me where they are? Can you tell me why the conflict in Africa? Cambodia? Why Vietnam happened? Can you tell me? No. But somebody's baby, somebody's loved one had to go out and fight there and die. That's the irony. What an example. Is that people are disposable commodities. We are simply that, a commodity. Animals on the farm. Well, think about it. I don't want to come back unless I'm going to be a proper animal and have the freedom of the sky or the sea or the land. Just my luck to come back as a pig. I could be a professional truffle hunter and make a living that way, but I think the odds are not stacked in my favour whatsoever. Think about that. And there's a son I have to raise to be a man. It's an uphill struggle, isn't it, when we're fighting the establishment, who does nothing but want to undermine us every step of the way, and certainly don't lead by example. Take care, everybody.